Hello, everyone, and welcome again. It's Chalk Talk. It's John DeFilippo, the Super Bowl winning Eagles quarterbacks coach from 2017. You went through the ring ceremony. Eagles just
Yeah,
had it last Friday. The ring is ridiculous. What do you remember about it?
I just remember how first class it was. Uh, the Eagles, Mr. Lurie flew my. I was in Minnesota at the time.
Okay.
Just to remind your audience, I left after that year to go be the offensive coordinator of the
Right.
Vikings, and they flew my wife and I back, and it was just it was just a first class event all the way, and exactly how you would expect the Eagles to handle such a cool event, and it was really special. Obviously, it was the first one in franchise history,
Right.
so.
John, as we look at it, going back, we'll start with how OTAs are planned for quarterbacks, coaches, and offense coordinators. So you've been both. What could you tell us about developing a quarterback, working with young quarterbacks? But let's start with Carson Wentz. What was your job, and how did you prepare him in those OTAs?
Yeah, I mean, just to rewind, I mean, Carson was not slated to play. I mean, we were going to sit him behind Sam, and Sam had a really good spring.
Hmm.
Really good spring, and we were really excited for him to be our starter. And my main job, was to make sure Carson, stayed up to speed with everything. And obviously he'd had the benefit of being in OTAs in that spring. But once you get into training camp, that's when I hate to use this verb, but that's when the bolts start flying a little bit, and
Sure.
that's where it really matters. And you're starting to get ready for a game, and who's going to make the team, and all those things. So there's so many more factors involved in training camp than there is in OTAs, which is a little bit more relaxed. I don't want to say relaxed, but just a different feel. Um, so we wanted to make sure Carson was up to speed, with everything, and little things like, staying after and throwing the whole practice script of the reps he didn't get, and just making sure when he was ready to go, he would be ready to go. Obviously, that journey started a little sooner than later than we all thought.
How do you handle a veteran quarterback comparatively to a rookie like Wentz in OTAs?
It's unique because when you have a rookie like Carson that's learning, I mean, you got to start from the ground up with him and spend a little bit more extra
Right.
time. Where a guy like a Sam Bradford or Carson Palmer, or another veteran I worked with like that, you got to find ways to challenge those guys' minds every day when they show up, so they don't think that they're wasting time. Now, it was a little bit different for Sam that year because he was learning a new offense as well. So, but if it was going into year three or year four in the same offense with a veteran quarterback, you got to find ways to challenge them. And what I mean by that is, hey, maybe we take the odd overload pressure day, or we're going to talk double A's today, and how we're going to handle that throughout the course of the year. And that way, you have some things that are, I don't want to, nothing's ever set in stone until the clock hits zero, but to play a game. But different things, that ideas that you might use during the season where it's a little bit slower pace, and it's not a pace where you're just trying to fit everything in before the
Sure.
next week. So you pick a topic of the day, and like I said, it might be, hey, this is how we're going to beat quarters coverage. What are our best quarters beaters?
Oh,
What are
okay.
our best quarter half beaters? Let's talk cover two today. How are we going to attack cover two? And so that's how you try to challenge a veteran. Where, as a rookie that I've had a lot of them, it's literally they're just trying to learn the cadence.
The install, people bring up the install. What is that? How does that work?
Well, you try to. My thing is it starts really for the rookies right after the draft, because you have your rookie mini camp
Yeah, that's
right
right.
then, and that's where they get a dabble of the installation. And teams handle rookie mini camp differently. Some bring in a bunch of players and have real practice. Others just want to get the individual down. Me, personally, if I had a choice, I would want real practice, especially if you
Hmm.
have a rookie quarterback. I mean, you want him to break the huddle and call the play in the huddle and execute
Sure.
the play and those things. And um, but teams handle that differently. And ours with Carson started right away. I mean, in rookie minicamp, and I thought he had a really good rookie minicamp, and it was just that first building block.
Let's get to you as an offensive coordinator. So, how does
Mhm.
it differ between you being a quarterback coach over the years, an offensive coordinator in terms of game planning and managing coaches? Like, is it way different than being a quarterbacks
Well, it's
coach?
not even the same animal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's you're responsible, instead of being responsible for three or four guys, you're responsible for 30,
Hmm.
or and so, and you're setting the tone for the whole offensive staff. And You're relaying the head coach's message to your side of the ball.
Question: 2015, your first time as a coordinator. Okay,
Hmm.
this is in people who followed your career know that you did a brilliant job. It helped get you an interview with the 49ers as head coaching candidate, right? You're going through this, and a guy that you interviewed, I do want to mention here, I think, is Scot Loeffler, is the new Eagles quarterbacks coach. Is that
I
correct?
interviewed Scott. Scott is at the time, I'm 99% positive he was the offensive coordinator of Virginia Tech. Okay,
Okay.
at the time. And I had known Scott through the grapevine and had heard Scott speak a few times
Hmm.
and was really impressed with him. Like really, I thought he was an really impressive guy. And so we interviewed Scott, and Scott's from Cleveland. All right.
Oh,
He's from Cleveland. So this would have
there
been
you
like
go.
coming home for him. I mean, grew up a Browns fan, the whole deal, right? He freaking interviewed like a champ.
He's a little bit older than Brady. I know. I think they were around there at the same time at
Yeah, he was
Michigan.
Brady's backup at Michigan.
Right, for
They're
a bit.
boys, they're roommates and stuff. Yeah, they're
Okay,
boys.
yeah. So you said he's very impressive, and
Yeah.
you're known to coach hard. That was what made you one of the best in the league for many years at quarterback coaching because you're on your guys. You teach. You're a big teacher. Do you know? Because I know you. It was between what him and Kevin O'Connell, and you
Yeah.
hired O'Connell, right?
Yeah.
So you obviously was down to those two guys. You like both. Do you? Because you didn't coach with Leffler before. So how did you know how he coaches? You talk to other
Just
people.
just through watching him. I'd heard him
Watch.
speak at a
Okay.
clinic and watching
Okay.
him and listening to him, and I
Okay.
knew that he was the kind of guy that I thought would be really good for our staff, and
Okay.
I just always had a ton of respect for Scott.
Coach, one of the things I love about training camp is I watch coaches coach.
Yeah.
I've seen you in Napa, California. I've seen you coach in Minnesota in that, like, I don't know what you call it. It's like a campus, right?
Yeah.
Was it in Egan or is it?
Egan.
I saw you in Jacksonville. So you've been a coordinator, a bunch of times, obviously. So now we're in training camp, right? So as a coordinator, when you come in, right, and with Cleveland specifically, because you came in new, you were with the Raiders before that as the quarterbacks coach.
Mhm.
Minnesota, you came in new because you were the Eagles quarterbacks coach. Jacksonville, you came in new because you were with Minnesota the year before. Do you look at what? So you go and do a tape study, right? Do you go back and watch the tape?
Yeah, you do to
Okay,
become yeah,
to
but
become familiar.
you also want to form your own opinions.
Sure.
You
Do you look at
listen.
the right? Do you look at their blocking schemes and how what kind of personnel and personnel
Yeah,
grouping?
to me, like when you're going in brand new like that, you look more at personnel.
Okay.
It's what does this guy do well?
Right.
What
Right.
do we
Right.
do well? Where are we deficient? You know?
And that's how you know what to do. So as a offensive coordinator, what's the challenge like to manage coaches? Because you were saying in our previous show here, as a quarterbacks coach, you just work with four guys. Now you have to work with 10 to 12 position coaches and all these players. What was your 2015? Let's talk about that. As a young coach, how did you get mentored? Do you know how to do this from other coaches over the years?
You do it by feel and how
Okay.
you've experienced it. It's challenging at times. It really is. I mean, because you got to find out just like what makes players tick, what makes coaches tick, and there's certain coaches that come to you with an idea, and if you don't use it, they get a little butt hurt. And there's some guys that if they don't use their idea, then they're like, cool, on to the next one. And it's like they understand maybe usually the guys that have been in that chair before understand that I can use every one of my ideas, and that's okay.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell you what stop I was at, but the head coach says, "Hey, I think we're struggling a little bit in running back pass protection." And I said, I agree with you, coach. I said, I 100% agree. I said, he goes, can we do that drill we did the other day, an individual with the backs where they're squaring up the linebackers and blocking them in the hole? I said, absolutely. So I go into the office staff meeting and I said, hey, can we do that to the running back coach? Can we do that again? And, he's like, well, I don't, tell me what to do. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
I'm like, guys, I'm like, okay, just so you guys know, I'm not. You can't, as the coordinator, you can't be like, "Well, the head coach told me that." Like you got to protect the head man too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a balancing act. That
sure.
unless you've been in that chair, you just don't know happens.
Are there times where you're in a practice, no matter where you were? Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Eagles right here in 2017. Go,
Mm.
holy bleep. We might be onto something. These practices are so damn good. Like we've really taken another level. You ever see that?
Yeah, I, I, I thought we'd be pretty good. We all thought
Why?
we'd be pretty good. It was year 2 for Carson.
Yeah.
We'd thrown him in there, and he'd made
Yeah.
some mistakes and played good at times and struggled at times and
At 16, right? In
in
16, right?
16,
Yeah.
and uh, you could make a case that if Carson doesn't play his rookie year, he doesn't have the season he had before he got hurt, year 2. I'd
That's
be
right.
willing to put all my
Right.
chips on the table and bet on that.
Right. What do you think of joint practices?
I love
Right.
him.
Why?
Effort. It's you see it. It's there's different a lot of reasons. Okay, but I'll go down the list here.
Sure.
Number one, as simple as this: you get to see another colored jersey in front of you, and some guys, especially some young guys, they freak out a little bit, man, when they see another colored jersey in front of them. And you want to see if they forget every single one of their techniques and fundamentals and all this. Number two, if we were facing, if like in Philly with Jim Schwartz, we were a 4-down team. Me personally, like if I would have gone against a 3-4 team in joint practice. Now you can work all your schemes against a different front. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it just, I love it. As long, here's the thing: the best joint practice I've ever been a part of was when I was in Philly and we joint practiced with Miami. Adam Gase was the head coach of the Dolphins, and obviously Coach Peterson was the head coach of the Eagles. And the head coaches had a pact: if you fought in practice, you got thrown out of practice and you didn't get to play in the game. So we
Mm,
practiced against them on Wednesday, Thursday. We were off Friday and scrimmaged and play the game on them. I think, yeah, at home on Saturday.
sure.
And so there was no fighting. There
Mm.
was it was 2 days of the most productive practices that I've ever been a part of. And I've seen some absolute melees.